Hello and welcome to the channel, or welcome back if you are so inclined. My name's Lewis, and this is the Razer Viper Ultimate Wireless Gaming Mouse with charging dock. Let's take a look. So what's in the box, I wonder? Well, we have many things. We have this, the obligatory paperwork, and it says on here, unleash your potential, because I seldom do. And we also have these very wonderful stickers from Razer, even some for Razer Chroma. How very lovely, because we all love a bit of chroma. But then we have this, the charging dock. It is quite a weighty, chunky bit of kit, and it does have these two little magnetic prongs on the front that do hold the mouse itself in place and charge it up, which is all very nice. And it does have a little RGB diffused ring around the bottom, which normally I don't like, but it does actually work quite well because you can see where it is on your desk. Now that does connect to the PC via this very nicely braided cable from Razer, and it does have the Razer green block within the USB header. Now it is micro USB. Normally I would be quite annoyed by this. I'd say things like, but Type-C has fast charging, all of that jazz. But honestly, the battery life on this thing is so vast that you don't even notice. So I don't think Type-C is necessarily required for this. Now you can just connect this into the mouse itself. If you do run out of charge, you can just wire directly into this. But under normal circumstances, this does in fact connect into the back of here. Now this itself, oddly, isn't the receiver for the Wi-Fi. That's just on a little USB dongle, which I found very odd that it's not just built in. Now you can plug this into your computer separately, or you can just plug it straight in to the dock itself, which is very good because it does save you a port on your computer, but it makes you wonder, why is it not just built into this anyway? But there we are. The mouse itself. Now this thing is a medium-sized mouse, and it comes in at around 74 grams, which does feel very light underhand. And it does have RGB on the back of it, that spectacular Razer logo that we all know and love. Now in terms of the materials for this mouse, obviously with it being quite light, it is really quite plasticky. But at the side you do have these rubberized panels, which is very good for the claw grippers out there. And it is an ambidextrous mouse, but we'll have a look at the software so you can actually switch these buttons off later in the video. Now the switches on this are optical switches. And as you can hear, they're very tactile, they are very good, and they're rated for many millions of clicks, and I'm sure the mouse itself will die before the buttons do themselves. And it does have a scroll wheel, which feels very good. There's no momentum build-up, which I like. It's just a very uniform speed or rate at which you actually turn the wheel itself. Now, in terms of the overall shape of this, it's a very nice arch over. The arch itself is quite centered to the mouse, so for a user like me, which I have a very lazy mouse grip, I just rest my hand over it and move around that way. It is quite nice, and like I said, for the claw grippers, there is the rubberized sections at the side, which is also very, very good. And this thing does slide around the mouse mat, and this is by no means a specialized mouse mat. It's just something I picked up on Amazon, but it does move very well. The glide paths on the underside, the two at the top are kind of a rectangular shape but with rounded edges. The two at the bottom being triangular, and then another glide pad around the sensor itself. Now in terms of the abilities of this mouse, shall we say, Razer do say that the wireless connection is actually faster than that of a wired one, which I find rather difficult to believe. However, I'm a human being, so I'm not finely tuned enough to notice that difference. But what I can say is this has become my daily driver. It is a very nice mouse, and the battery life being over 70 hours. And trust me, they're not lying with that. It really is around that time. You do forget that this does need charging up, which is where this convenience comes in. But I do very much like the usability of this mouse. I really do. Now it does have a 1000 Hz polling rate, and that's very close to 1000 Hz. You're talking about 998. I saw that on Random Frank P, and I fact checked it, and it's correct. It actually is. But again, makes very little difference to us mere mortals that can't sense the difference of that. Now again, on the underside we do have these two selectors here. There is just the power switch and the preset selector, just like on the Viper Ultimate wired mouse. And you have these two gold little prongs here, the little connectors for the charging port. Now these are magnetized and they just sit nicely on. And it does take a good few hours for the mouse itself to charge up, but like I said, with a 70-hour battery life, that's absolutely immense. Absolutely immense. Now there are a whole host of other specifications that we could run over on the Viper. However, Do you even understand what any of it is? That's the main thing. A lot of it is just markers and splurb. Now, in terms of usability, it's very good. In terms of glide, it's very good. The switches feel tactile and very good, like I said. Overall, the mouse is very, very good. And it is worth the £125 that I did pay for this. And I'm very happy with it. I'm very happy indeed. Now let's take a look at the software.
This is the Razer Synapse software that comes with most Razer devices that work on PC nowadays, and as you can see we have a separate section for each of the devices, both the dock itself and the mouse, which is very good. Now, starting with the dock, it's only really the lighting effects that you can change in here, and I say only really as if there's anything else, but that's pretty much it. Now, there are various effects that you can go through, but one I choose to use, which I feel is very good, is the battery level. Now this just changes the colour around the dock depending on the level of the battery, and you can see what they are here. Now there are separate different modes you can have, like the audio meter, which just reacts to your audio, breathing, reactive, spectrum cycling and static, all the usual jazz. But let's take a look at the mouse settings themselves. So the usual settings come up right away, the actual button layout. Now you can choose down here whether this is right or left-handed, because this is an ambidextrous mouse, and as you can see I have in fact disabled these two buttons on the right hand side because I keep catching them with my finger. It's very frustrating, especially on Warzone. It's remarkably frustrating. But the button under here is kind of cool. Now there are 5 different presets that you can have for your mouse sensitivity, and that's on the underside of the mouse, and you simply just cycle through them, and the rest of the buttons are just what these buttons normally are. Very simple, nice and easy. Now into performance, this is where you can change your actual presets like I mentioned before, which is all very good. Now I'm not sure why you'd have these as high as this can possibly go, because it would be absolutely insane unless you were on a massive 8K monitor, in which case some of them would make sense. However, for me, I kind of have my mouse stages set really quite low for the different types of games that I actually play. Now the polling rate on this you can change. I'm not sure why you would. It's better just to keep it at 1000. Now I did mention that you can't really feel the difference with this as a human, but if you had this set down to a 125, which is effectively, well, it's 12.5% of that, you would notice that. So I would recommend just keeping it at 1000. You can change all of the Windows properties from there. Obviously, with this being Razer and having RGB, we can change the lighting effects, and as you can see I have my brightness set to 2 of 100, and you can still see it. But to be honest, the light here for me is just a guide. When I'm gaming in the dark, I can find where the mouse is very easily should I have to get up and leave the desk at any point for any reason. And you can in fact change the settings on here. All very lovely. And you can have the idle timeout of the mouse turned on, and I've got mine set down to 1 minute, because if I'm not doing something, the battery may as well charge itself. Now in terms of calibration, you can set this to smart tracking, which I've done, but you can manually calibrate this yourself. It's not something that I wanted to go through. I feel that Razer's settings are already pretty good, so I've no reason to change it. The smart tracking works pretty much for everything. If you are a savant, I suppose, or an aficionado of the mouse world, then perhaps you would manually tune your own mouse. And in here we have the actual power settings. Again, these are just the economic settings, I think, for the mouse settings. I don't have mine on low power mode until it gets down to 30% charge, and even then I would probably just put it on charge or go into this and change it, because I wouldn't want to lose any of the performance of the mouse itself. And I have the mouse going to full sleep after 5 minutes. Nice and easy. And to get this back on, by the way, you don't even need to press the button. You just move the mouse around like this, and then it works all nice and wonderfully. But there we are.
Well, in conclusion, what do I feel about this mouse? Now, I have said a few times in the video that I do very much like it, and it has in fact become my daily driver for both gaming and for my normal work, where I'll be editing this video using this mouse. So there you are, that's what I feel about this. It's very much worth the money. I like the charging dock, I think it fits nicely on my desk. This is very convenient just to charge up, and the battery life being over 70 hours is absolutely immense to me. But that's very, very good. But like I said, do I recommend this? Absolutely yes. I think this is a great purchase and a great mouse, and I say that really about things like mice. They don't necessarily impress me. This one, however, did. Now, my Amazon affiliate link to this will be in the description just below. I have to tell you about it. If you do buy anything from Amazon using that link, I will get a bit of a kickback, and I will reinvest that back into the channel, because I do buy everything that I review. I feel it makes it a bit fairer, although if anybody wants to send me anything, feel free and I'll take a look. But there we are. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you did like the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. If you're new here, why not subscribe? Just click down there and hit the notification bell. I don't post every week, but I do try to get as many up as I possibly can. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful morning, noon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Goodbye.